All right, headsets being put on, making sure that they can't hear any of our beautiful voices here in the casting booth.
Oh damn, we balanced it out this time. I was just saying every time there's like a bias to the flag, either one
This
like,
time
guy's
it's even.
invading. Yeah. So there we go. Refresh it. And okay, so now completely
This is a classic Baltune move, picking French. He likes French.
Yes, I remember that in the early days. It kind of fits because he tries to get away from being an AoE1 player. Like, it's not about aggro, but it's like if you were to give an Age of Empires 1 player AoE 4, I feel like French, well, probably not in the current meta, but that, exactly, it just fits so well. Mongols as well. But like rounding out these drafts, having a kind of look at what we've got here, Abbasid is a very high priority pick for Valdemar. Not too surprising. Like everyone always talks about the kid's Chinese. To me, I actually think Abbasid is his best civ. Yeah,
nowadays he started shifting over to Abbasid a while ago, and then really spammed them a lot. He's done a lot of different build order guides for them as well, so definitely put the practice in there, has the knowledge of them. And I think, yeah, so far, his probably favorite...
Are we starting on Holy Island or Scandinavia?
No, it's
sorry. Oh, I forgot. We got that.
Yeah, well, we have it now.
We have the Zhu Ji pick, which is kind of like what threw me off there from Valdemar a bit. It doesn't look like it has anywhere to call home. You think Cliffside? Oh, yeah, the Chiganu all in.
Yeah.
But like, I think then in that case, does Baltune not just hold English for that?
He should. But I think nowadays, like I actually did a little bit of theory testing, and I did English against Demu as well, and like checked out how like top players would play in that situation. A mixture of early palace guards and horsemen actually work really, really well. So basically, you scout your opponent's base, and if you see, okay, he's just making archers, then you go for the horseman. If you see some spearmen in there as well, then you just full send it with the palace guards.
I think I saw Ben, he has some very interesting builds around that where you like open 3 to 5 palace guard, you force a reaction, then you just retract and go castle, right? And then you get real palace guard, and you feel really good about the game. But let's see who's going to be feeling good about the start of this set. Remember, final set of the day, an elimination one here between Valdemar and Baltune to see who will survive the Championship Sunday and who will be sitting in the crowd trying to choose the person to cheer on. Probably whoever this person's going to be up against. We hop into Gorge, Baltune with the French of all things to start a series, and Valdemar on what I consider his signature, the Abbasids.
Yeah, we're here on Gorge, so we got those lanes that the players are going to be wanting to scout on. Want to make sure that they find as many sheep here as possible. Nicely split the lanes evenly between each other. I also like that Valdemar actually went through the middle in order to go to Baltune's base, because sometimes in the middle there are a couple of straggler sheeps that you can pick up. That's a nice little bonus for him here, potentially.
I mean, you're going to retract back to your side anyway in the end, so it makes a lot of sense here. But overall, like, kind of surprising, right? The French, that does feel like a curveball here. We've seen a few French drafts, but it never seems to be coming out in these sets.
It's a weird kind of comfort pick, I want to say, but maybe also one where Baltune's like, yeah, I don't necessarily need French in my later game plan. I can kind of like throw it away here and maybe snipe a very strong civilization from my opponent, which definitely is the case there with the Abbasid. And if Baltune potentially wins this one, he's going to be in a very, very good situation draft-wise.
I'm trying to think historically if French have been decent recently for this.
I feel like they used to be until Spearman got buffed.
Yeah, no, I think back then that was before Military Wing actually gave you units as well, right?
Yeah, as well, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe kind of a tough bind. You could try to go 2TC, but I feel like Abbasid is just much better for that now.
Yeah, you definitely need to go to TC here as the Abbasid, since the French, they're not John, so they do get that bonus to the villager creation speed. They will start to overtake you on that one.
And I think if you're French, like going to TC here is maybe it's too exhausting.
It's an over-commitment, I want to say. Like, maybe you can make it happen if you then go into like mass archers, but you're not gonna feel like you're gonna be in a great situation, because behind that Abbasid can then freely age up to Castle Age, and once they reach Castle Age, because they don't need any villagers on that landmark, they're gonna have a bank to really produce a lot of these high-value units that then can counter yard.
And that really comes in from the food burden difference, right? Like, you know, with the fresh food stuff, so if you're both on 2TC, yes, you're producing villages quicker, but you have to look at it a different way. You're spending more food per minute, which kind of takes out of your initial punch. It usually leads to Abbasid players building a few more horsemen, a few more spears, and kind of just denting you. And let's be totally real, at that stage, if you're a French player and you're not doing a loose TC, you don't really feel good about 2TC.
Yeah. All right, military ring right around the corner now for Valdemar. Has a couple of villagers on stone. But I think he's not going to go for more than like 4 villagers, maybe 5. It depends. Like if he wants to go for horsemen in there as well.
Yeah, this feels like the horseman opening, right? Like the amount of people who's gotten wood, because I don't think you necessarily have to prior the wood first, because like in theory you go stone first because the French is going to send a knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we might be getting that cheeky horseman opening. It's been very popular, right? Because it's kind of crazy. You spend 150 wood, and now you've got all 3 arcs of the triangle covered when you spend the horseman.
Yeah, exactly. It just gives you so much mobility in there as well. No stable coming in yet. A lot of buildings going down, so we'll likely want to reach that golden age very, very soon.
That's a lot of like that's a rush towards it. It does have a decent spawn as well, right? When we look at the north side, double
like the
deer up
idea.
there. Yeah.
I like the idea of not going for the horseman here, because in this specific matchups, because your opponent has access to those feudal age knights, you're not going to get a whole lot of value out here. I'm wondering, I think Baltune needs like 2 knights in order to completely deal with the early Abbasid 3 units there, because spearmen are only going to be Dark Age spearmen.
That's an interesting point, right? Usually the reason why you go horseman here is because your opponent has to react with 3 archers, but like 2 knights as you're highlighting, like it's Dark Age spears. You'd need 4 to feel good about taking that fight. And realistically, if Valdemar's going for an optimal TC timing, he's never adding in 150 wood building and then spending 20 wood per spearman to even get involved.
Yeah, exactly. Golden Age has come in for him at this point in time, so he's going to have a very nice economy, and we do see Baltune moving out now to stone. And Valdemar must feel really good about this, because he managed to just scout that in time.
Now, if Baltune just pivots north, can we check his vision? This is very important. The split of food is not desirable for Valdemar. This is like that cursed situation. Like, ideally, you'd want to have about the same amount of berries and deer on each side so that you can flexi that. But if you look at the spawn, and this is info that Baltune has, pretty much all of Valdemar's options are north side, with the one exception of a deep berry in the east corner that feels way too far out to go for against French.
Yeah, I mean, there's a boar there as well, so if worst comes to worst, in theory, Baltune could just pull that boar onto the villagers.
Meanwhile, Valdemar's like, I can't even need this. Always the unfortunate nature of playing.
It's a very nice deer spot for him, though. Very far in the back, so very safe-ish TC there as well. Has the military school unit, so in theory has what it takes in order to defend that as well. Second knight from Baltune is coming out now, but with the timing, I think it's going to be too late, and that TC should be going up without any issues.
Do you think maybe it was worth Baltune getting the second knight before thinking about the TC detail?
I think so, yeah. Because then you're able to actually like prevent that TC from being placed outside.
Fortunately,
There's at least one villager is going to go down there.
Takes a double hit from the spears on the way by, though, so heavy damage down there. The villagers with the shivs out. Valdemar says, get off my lawn. And we'll now be able to complete the TC. And this is kind of scary for Baltune if he wants to send it. This is a very desirable spawn with those tree lines. Very easily palisadable.
I like that he picked off a villager there, though, because like the 20 seconds are going to make the difference between like the 20 seconds that he's going to now need in order to get his TC up. And with the French, you're going to be producing villagers a lot quicker here. So Baltune, already 3 villagers ahead, is going to be able to further increase that lead very, very drastically.
We do have to remember right now, though, Valdemar's more eco-efficient. He's got the Golden Age 1, then on top of that, you got the fresh foodstuffs discount.
But at the same time, Baltune has 2 eco upgrades and a 3rd one coming in right now, so it kind of cancels it out for the most part.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, actually, that Valdemar isn't even trying to sneak some of those techs, right? But we have to remember that is a full 20 gold.
He doesn't want to get exposed on the gold there, right?
He's exposed.
That's a lot of villagers here, actually, that he's got there.
Back
Baltune,
away.
he might be thinking about going for a play on that, because there's so many villagers, he can't garrison all of them. Looks like Valdemar is getting wise to it, and he is adding in his own spearmen now. We'll also be able to finally upgrade them to the feudal age.
Baltune now already prepping the archer range at a perfect time, a broad axe on the way, so he can start to get that archer pump going. Valdemar, realistically, you're just going to stick spears archers here, right? I don't think you go for your own horsemen.
He's got the walls, right, so he is already kind of confining himself in his base, and that also means that his opponent is going to be kind of slow when he pivots around. In that case, like an immobile army composition is absolutely perfect for this.
I don't think we even have survival techniques for Valdemar, right?
I don't think so. I don't think he had the gold for it.
No, that's kind of problematic, right? That's another kind of edge for Baltune to eke out here, being out on the deer with the buffed rate.
Yeah, no eco upgrades at all compared to all the eco upgrades. I mean, it's still like the 15%, so it kind of evens itself out. It's unfortunate, but still evens out.
I mean, it feels harsh in that way because it takes one of your big edges away. And then you're left with the discount on villages, which is nice, but as you highlighted over time, Baltune should be the one extending an economy lead. And at a very early Camel Archer commitment here out of Valdemar.
That's expensive, but it makes sense.
Wait,
right now,
what?
he doesn't exactly know what his opponent's composition is going to be, so you want to have at least one of those in order to make sure that if your opponent suddenly goes for like 5, 6.
But we're going 2. We're going Horseman as well.
2, yeah. Now it's starting to get weird. Now it's suddenly starting to get really weird.
Valdemar is trying to pressure this, right? Like adding
This is
Horsemen
the same-
and Camel Archers.
Yeah, this is the same composition that he used against Dragovan.
Baltune, he's held the archers back in a way. This might pay well for him. You know, if Valdemar doesn't see archers for a while, he might only invest 1 or 2 horsemen. You know, this is the type of comp. It feels like the goal here for Valdemar, just scale spearmen to hold the base and then send the camel archers and horsemen to try and raid.
Yeah, Valdemar is going to be reliant a lot on the spearmen here with this play, because as soon as the spearmen go out, suddenly his entire rest of his army can get countered just by knights.
Baltune. Well, looks like Valdemar is going to get a snoop in and see what is up. He does scout out the archer transition, so Baltune won't get any ahead of time value out of that. No revelation to surprise Valdemar.
Yeah, Valdemar now also finally able to get some of these eco upgrades in. It's going to be horticulture first. I guess that's going to boost the sheep at least. I would have preferred to see survival techniques just because that's really quickly. Like yeah, there it is next. It researches much quicker than horticulture, so that's usually why you should get it first in that situation. Gonna
cheaper.
Get more use out of it.
Yeah. So Hardened Spearman upgrade is going to finally come in. I find that's usually good once you have 11 of those too.
Yeah, 11, true. Finally arriving at the feudal age with those spearmen.
That's kind of wild, man. Having got
It
to
is a
that
big
many.
army.
Yeah. And now marching out. I like this. Just trying to pile the pressure. I don't think we'll see any ram shenanigans straight away. It kind of feels like Valdemar needs to win a fight before we can consider Siege to deal with that TC.
Yeah. Knights are just going to run away now. I mean, horsemen, realistically, they can't really take any fights there. The camel archers can potentially poke these knights. Chivalry is also coming in.
Martial numbers are building behind this. Nice little quick snipe there. Baltune actually going to lose the scout for it, though. So problematic now riding blind in the map.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal here for him, but it's going to keep his knights alive.
I do love that he keeps getting the point-blank charges. That was something that Vortex in particular and Lucifron were infamous for.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Villagers will probably have to go to the other side of the TC if Valdemar forces the issue there.
Boot camp also on the way, so I wonder if Valdemar, he's just going the big boy spear build. Does he try to dive for the TC eventually? It kind of seems like that's his condition here, his objective.
It might be. I'm worried for it though. Upgrades are also coming in, so we got the pierce damage armor, pierce damage upgrade in it now as well. And Valdemar doesn't have any of his core blacksmith upgrades yet. He's only just queued the first one now.
It's going to take a while. There's an opportunity for Baltune to buff this away. And Valdemar probably feeling like he needs to come out and apply some pressure. I love the way he's divided the map, though. Check that D on the north side. Valdemar understands the only way this works is if you have everything sending into the French base. You can't hold anything back to defend.
Baltune has the same idea, though. He's going to split his map up as well. He's going to have control over the second deer camp with that wall and the boar as well.
And it makes sense, right? Valdemar is leaning pretty heavy into horsemen here. We saw earlier in the series, right, the heavy horseman commitment. When you play those type of lofty comps, you need to be mobile. Like, you can't just sit them there and threaten. They need to go do some eco damage or at least attempt. So good read by Baltune before that gets out of control.
Horsemen are going to split off of the main army. We'll be trying to look for some raids of walls, not yet completed. And Valdemar is going to get confirmation of the army position here from Baltune. Might be able to find a villager or two here that are trying to finish up that wall. Wall is almost finished.
Yeah, he's got extra villagers on it. He lapped around on the tree line, so you had that classic interaction there.
Yeah, I think the pathing.
Yeah.
I think Valdemar thinks it's finished now. He's going to go for the one part that's not quite finished yet. Okay, horsemen aren't going to find it.
There was some funky pathing. If we check down on Baltune's wall, by the way, I thought it was a scout at first. One of his villagers lapped around to come and complete the wall. So there was actually a weird opportunity there for Valdemar for a second, but Baltune does close the gap there. Now, kind of just looks across the Volda and says, okay, this is approaching a main fight, mate, and I do have heavy cav. What's the spear count?
Yeah, and the archer mass definitely favoring Baltune here. Issue is horsemen can definitely do a lot of damage to those archers. It's going to be a lot of kiting at the initial fight there, necessary in order to take down the spearmen for Baltune. If Valdemar can gain on the main army and really do a lot of damage to those knights, which should realistically be very much possible for him with those Abbasid phalanx spears.
Now, statistically, the premium element of the Abbasid comp escalates a lot because of this tech coming in. Bloomery is phenomenal with this comp. Obviously, French get theirs for free, but like Knights as a percentage increase don't really benefit as much. You know, you pay half the price for Horsemen, but you get a much higher percentile increase there. So might just give Valdemar the brute force element. Like he's already scaling ahead of the French, and now, what, 2/3 of his army just got this notable increase in DPS.
Yeah, there must have been quite a lot of idle time, I feel like, for Baltune's TCs. Look at that, they're only even in TCs at the moment, in villager count at the moment. When you have 2 TCs that produce villagers like each 3 seconds faster,
it should have added up by now, yeah.
Or 3 seconds faster.
Wild to think, especially when Baltune's got this much food income. Dive's going to come in for the Knights now, though. Maybe that's how you just build Ukulele, try to find some kills, but hesitance to head in, and for good reason. Valdemar's got some tricky walls between his 2 TCs there. You can actually see the line on the map where he's actually created a kind of choke point deeper in.
Horsemen are running around in Baltune space.
Finds a few kills.
Yeah, 2 villagers going down.
This is kind of ugly, right? Like, if you think about it, Baltune doesn't have a way of going in now. Against mass spearmen, it's a good enough defense. It's almost like Baltune wanted to turn this into a raiding game, but realistically, he needs his archers in position now.
Look at that, though. Baltune, he just cancelled 4 knights, and now immediately is going to be able to go up to the next stage with the guild hall. And that might actually... This is like one of the main difficult parts, right? Like if you're up against the French, you know they're scaling into a lot of knights. It is incredibly difficult to tell when exactly they're going to be committing for that castle age.
And makes the right choice.
Oh, and the knights are in.
We'll run
That's
away.
a lot of idle time.
Army is responding to this. He needs to be careful not to get pinched behind. Valdemar, he's splitting up here.
Yeah, that is difficult. Okay. Baltune, though, he's wiser to it. He's going to fall back now. He probably knows that the army is going to react now.
I wonder,
that is a good pullback now.
It's one of those tough things, like, if your horsemen close to home, you could have used them to body block, let the spearmen come in, but, you know, this is a smart thing. Baltune knows they aren't there because they were just actively raiding him. So Valdemar may just try to go on the hunt again here. Berries on the forward are somewhat exposed, only 2 knights to defend, and Valdemar now has to make a choice. Tech up complete, he's an age behind, and Abbasids have no quick way of catching up.
Valdemar, though, almost double the military. Army value fairly similar here. But the amount of units is definitely favoring him here. Horsemen aren't going to find a lot of damage here. Villagers getting pulled back, though. A little bit of idle time cost. And I think, yeah, KP, it's a send it move right now. Coming in from Valdemar.
Veterancy coming in for the Knights. Archers are going to take a wee bit longer. Baltune count looks decent, but against 41 phalanx spears, I don't think it's going to be enough to hold a front line here. Baltune continues to retreat underneath the TC. Horsemen trying to dive past here, allow the spearmen through. Can Valdemar break the army and break open the series with what most would call an upset?
Oh my god, Valdemar, he's going into the choke point now, decides to maybe just destroy the building, get rid of it in the first place. Veterancy upgrade is now coming in. There it is. Veterancy has just finished up for Baltune. These fights are going to be very, very important now. Archers trying to fall back. Choke point is coming in. But the mass is still very big.
The Camel Archers are debuffing those Knights a lot. They're not hitting as hard as you like here. Spearmen kind of flying over themselves, but notice the Archers are trading out on the backside. Baltune, can he do this? Health bars are getting a bit low. Horsemen are gone, yes, but the Spearman mass, is it going to be big enough here? Valdemar has everything on the line here. Check his food income. There's no backup, no reinforcements. If Baltune can weather this storm, it should be an easy GG to follow.
Still sitting under that main TC. He's gotten the distance. Yeah, he's gotten the distance in between the Spearmen and the Knights.
I think that's it. It feels like Valdemar split a little bit too wide here with the Spearman count. Down to just 20, and not all of them on the front line, folks. I think actually it's about 15 max. I mean, at this stage, in a weird way, you could kind of A-click the Knights in and win the trade. It wouldn't be pretty, but it would still be a win. Instead, Baltune remains efficient about this. He's not sure what's coming behind. Valdemar, you can see he's running out of steam here.
Yeah, the units starting to go down. One by one they fall. The Veterancy Archer just proving too strong here in the end. Food economy is picking up again for Valdemar.
That might be a tough one. The Archers, they've got nothing to guard them anymore. Knights head on into Munch, and all of a sudden it's crunch time for Valdemar. That entire military lead is gone. The plan has unraveled, and Baltune is now able to go and do some serious damage.
Knights keep pushing in. Units getting picked up on the retreat. And behind all of that, behind that entire push from Valdemar, Baltune just kept on producing. Even as he was losing units, his economy was working throughout the entire time. He didn't panic, he didn't pull too many villagers into his TC in order to have that additional damage coming in.
Valdemar is swelling a lot of archers here. He says that's not quite over yet, but there's still that big conundrum of when and how am I going to tech up here? He hasn't prepped farms yet, right? And if we're being totally real, he's on his final berries, rather. So there is a lifeline here. My worry is that to be efficient, Valdemar has to be into archers against Castle Age Knights.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't feel good here. Blacksmith upgrades. There's no +2 armor coming in yet, but he doesn't need it for Knights at least. And the Knights will only take 1 damage. The Archers aren't going to be too bothered there in the back line. Behind this, Baltune also thinking about the relics right now.
But Cantle Saddle's a big deal here as well in the initial charge. He's starting to realize Valdemar doesn't really have that bulk to the Spearman anymore. And of course, not an expensive tech, but definitely high value here. Steel Arrow 2 is going to be on the way. Baltune has slowed down the Archer department for the time being, but you know, the pressure now is Valdemar. He has to come out to the map in a very aggressive way here. And also, if you look at the way he's walled, he doesn't have safe gold to try and go for Castle Age.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at this point in time, I mean, we talked about it earlier, right? If Valdemar loses with the Abbasid against a civilization like the French, this draft is going to favor Baltune.
It's also the mental game, right? Like, we have to remember you have to reset after that. It's such a perplexing one. Like, we were sitting down here, it's like, I don't really know like, if French should really be able to do this anymore.
More walls are coming in. Valdemar wants to secure that gold. Baltune for a second move towards that is gonna now veer into the other direction though. And now the farms are gonna be coming in for Valdemar. He needs that food income now.
And for Baltune though, he's mirroring this with his own farms. You have to remember that there's a ticking time bomb here. A guild hall sitting in the corner that is begging, pleading for a French player to find his way into Imperial Age. It'll only take a few more minutes.
Exactly, that food is going to keep on building up, and once it reaches like that 3,000 mark, he's just going to cash in on that, is going to have enough gold, and then it's going to be a very fast switch over to Imperial Age. Behind that, Baltune, he's now 10 villagers ahead, even though it was Valdemar who was the one that was like putting all the aggression on him and actually sitting under his base.
Walls, walls, walls. Valdemar. Are we just trying to draw a noughts and crosses board on the map right now? It kind of feels like we're trending towards that here. I mean, we praised him for the walls. They felt good for a while, but you know, the problem now in this state of the game is it works when your opponent has to come in your base. Baltune doesn't realistically have to come in. You need to come out.
He can just stay back, but I think right now he will also want to make use of his tech advantage, and that's a massive tech advantage that he has right now. Now also +2 Pierce armor coming in, so now even the town center is barely gonna do damage to those knights. Archers as well, they're gonna take way less damage now from the enemy archers as well. Archer number is now fairly similar as well, with the difference of the veterancy status being there for one of these players, and now Baltune, he's starting to push it in a little bit at a time. He wants to like lure the units out from Valdemar, pick them off one by one. Doesn't want to take the straight-up engagement against the Spearman.
There's a risk of Valdemar getting eclipsed in the next 30 seconds, especially when I see that on the horizon. Military Academy has been primed. This is where the surge point arrives. And interesting as well, because when you see this type of defense, you think, why not just go mangoes? Because he doesn't from this position. He just needs pressure and movement.
I like how calm and collected Baltune is playing this. He's going up to 5 scholars now, 5 monks, and he's just going to slowly but surely, he's 6. He's going to take the sacred side, he's going to pick up every single relic on the map. He's going for the one on the far side of Valdemar's base right now, that's very close to Valdemar's base. Look at all the farming economy that's going on right now as well. His economy is looking absolutely splendid at this point in time. Valdemar, still at 0 gold per minute, isn't able to go up to the next age anytime soon.
I feel like he's memeing on me right now. He stopped at 69. Been that way for a while. 2 more relics down the way home. Valdemar, this is his weak point. You can't come out of the base like this. It exposed the Spearman a bit too much. Trade continues, and remember, it's much harder for Valdemar to get a 1-1 trade on the Archers, now being outnumbered. The only issue here, the only reason why Valdemar might feel he's still in this, is he doesn't see the entire Archer mass. You can actually see the Congo line across the map. It's going to arrive soon.
Yeah, so many units just streaming across behind this Baltune, getting every single economic advantage here as well. He's got all the economy upgrades now at tier 2. He's getting the sacred sites. He's gotten all the relics, or rather all the relics are on its way over to his base. And Valdemar, he's just falling back further and further inside his own base now, doesn't have that TC firing advantage anymore. Spearman pushed through against the Knights, doing some good damage there. There's still a lot of Spearman remaining. Baltune actually might have to fall back there for the moment. But this is just wave 1. There are so many more units out on the field, up to 44 archers at the moment for Baltune. He's actually doubling the count from Valdemar.
And he's knocking on the door of the gold in the right side corner. He knows it's Valdemar's only way out, so he's curious about that detail. Yes, the knights are kind of being thrown away, but realistically at this stage, Baltune can just win the game with archers. He doesn't need knights anymore. In a way, it's kind of just slowing down his endpoint here.
I mean, he's totally fine just playing this the way he is right now. And look at that guild hall. It's going over 2k now. So potential Imperial Age might come in sooner or later at a point in time where Valdemar is still in Feudal Age. And I feel like if that is the case, that Baltune reaches Imperial Age before Valdemar even gets to Castle Age, I think we're going to see a GG with the Red Palace going on.
I mean, mate, that would be the comeback of the century, to be honest with you. And the gold is about to reach what it needs. So expect the pull in probably the next 30 seconds at this pacing. No more knights being produced. Baltune has had his fun. He's unwinding. He probably could just actually get up and do some jumping jacks right now. He's that far ahead.
Imagine doing that at a LAN in front of your opponent.
I was doing that in battle. So what he needs, Culture Wing now on the way from Valdemar. I think, did he actually sell
there
food?
He goes. Baltune's going. He's going to go in.
Wait, is he going to do the Valdemar?
He's going to do it right in front of Valdemar's base.
He's going to return fire. Valdemar, like, he's built a reputation for doing this to people.
He always does that with the keep, like forward keep.
So this is a taste of his own medicine.
He's pulled out the food. 4,000 food in the bank. Red Palace coming in right in front of Valdemar's base. There are a lot of villagers at that. Yeah, it's a slight grin. It's like, yeah, I know I'm dead.
He's like, I deserve this. I've done it a million times. And remember, this thing's a Gatling gun that can even take down buildings. And behind this, like, Baltune could easily just build a siege workshop.
Yeah.
Valdemar has to go for the dive. It's just so many villagers, and I believe that is indeed textiles, so not even a quick kill. Army looks to defend. Baltune still has the military lead despite the fact he's teching up to Imperial Age here. No way of getting through his own wood line quick enough to try and dive on the villages. Red Palace is up, and Valdemar is about to be 2 games down.
Oh,
wait, 2 games down? 1 game down.
Wait, 1 game down.
Why is it got 1?
I guess
looked up with that.
I mean, that's just
production's getting ahead of themselves a bit. They're excited here. So
but GG comes in, and Baltune is going to take the lead in this first set.
Game 1 to Baltune, and what a way to do it. What a message to send here with one of the most underwhelming civs we have in Age of Empires 4 against one of the absolute rising stars of the meta, and a comfort pick as well for Valdemar at that.
Yeah, I mean, I know Baltune. He loves his French. He picked it here, and this is going to open up the draft for him immensely. I don't think Valdemar expected the French here on Gorge, and Abbasid, his comfort pick, now at the window.
I feel like Baltune learned a lesson from that Dimmu series. We talked about it, that opening game that completely unraveled the draft. I think he just, like, you know, he wrote that in his little notebook. It's like, I'm going to take that one forward, Ben. Well played, mate. And all of a sudden, you know, Valdemar, he seemed very calm, very composed. He had this, I told him a little bit, I don't want to reveal his strategy, but you know, he felt really good about how he'd calculate the draft, how things were going to flow. All that's now out the window.
Yeah.
And remember what we said earlier. The thing that's going to define these type of players, right? We talked about our Dragavans, our Blids. I think Valdemar, you know, has some more experience, but he doesn't have maybe the same that like a Dimmu or a Killjoy does at the moment. How quickly can you pivot?
That's going to be the question, right? I know Valdemar, he practiced a lot, especially when it comes to drafting. He actually on a boat ride over from the ferry, he asked me, and we just drafted on the ferry. Like, we didn't play any games, we just drafted back and forward, and we're like, would you favor this draft, whatnot? So yeah, he put a lot of effort into drafting. And a move like this now, where we got the French winning against the Abbasid, that really opens up the draft by a lot, because now suddenly, like, one of your comfort picks is out, but you're a point down as well. It's going to be tough to recover from this.